Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Wonder Series, where we give you the opportunity to think outside the box, to look at your life from a different perspective, and truly open your mind to the possibilities and the opportunities that are out there that could be staring you right in the face, but you're not open to them, so you're not seeing them. So every week at the Wonder Series, we have a world-class expert in health, wellness, personal development, or fun, who truly is here to inspire you and to give you tips and strategies that you can use right away in whatever area it is. The health, the wellness, personal development. Fun is always kind of an interesting one, but today we're going to talk a little bit more about wellness, specifically your financial wellness. So I'm really excited to talk today to my new friend, Pam Richardson. Pam is the founder of Money Mastery with Pam, a wealth coaching business dedicated to helping women earn more, keep more, and feel more comfortable about their money, because we know money is a big issue in life. And so Pam, hi and welcome.
Oh, Denise, thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. And I actually find finances to be fun. So maybe this will be a little bit of fun.
Woohoo, there we go. Fun. Hey, we got a little ration here. Fun with finance. I like
There
it.
you go. Let's hope. Fingers crossed.
Well, I think finance has always been one of those things that's been elusive to a lot of people, especially women. It's not something we talk about a lot, growing up. So before we get into that, I guess I would love for you to tell us your story. How did you become Pam with Money Mastery, the money masterer?
Sure. Well, it's a long story. I'll shorten it briefly. I grew up with a dad who felt that women should be barefoot, pregnant, and tied to the stove and not ever have to worry about money because they would be well taken care of. And I bought into that lock, stock, and barrel, loved that idea. Little did we know that by the age of 25, my father, I was 25, he passed away, teaching me nothing about money. And I went on for a few years. He left me about $500,000 of an inheritance. And as I say, it came in and it went out. And about 8 years ago, some people that I love dearly told me that I would be receiving another inheritance. And I knew that I couldn't dishonor their money like I had my parents. And I knew I was in trouble. Credit cards have always been a good friend of mine. They've never told me no.
This is true. They don't speak. I don't know why.
I know. They just let you do it. So I knew I was in trouble. And so I reached out, I did some internet searching, and I found Karen McCall, who I believe is the pioneer in the financial recovery movement. Hired her to work with me. She was a world-class money coach, still has, she doesn't coach, but she has another program called Money Grit that I use in my practice. Now, I hate to say that, when I was working with Karen, that I loved what she put me through because it was painful. It's painful what you have to do to heal your relationship with money if it is as troublesome as mine. But I knew that there were other people out there who are in my same spot, who are going to be inheriting money, who are women whose dads taught them that it's okay to be dependent on a man. And it's not okay to be dependent on a man. You need to be in the arena and you need to know things. So I knew that I had all the tools that Karen taught me and I could bring that to other people. So that's how I became Money Mastery with Pam, is I just wanted to help other women who are in situations like myself. And so far, it's been 7 years, we're still here. So it's all good.
No, that's great. I mean, I think that's what's really important. And to me, that is, that's the credibility piece. You've done it, you've been there, you've experienced it and come out the other side. So that's how people can follow you. If you're kind of going, oh yeah, I took this course and follow me anyway. And there are definitely those people out there, and they may be very successful. To me, it is absolutely essential to work with somebody who really has been through the process, and not just the process like you went through with Carol, but really the personal story kind of process as well. So you mentioned relationship with money.
Yes.
Let's talk about that a little bit more,
Okay.
because I don't think most of us think of
No.
relationship and money in the same conversation. So what does that actually mean to you? And why is that important to our listeners?
Well, having a relationship with money it's really important because we use money on an almost daily basis. And one of the questions that I like to ask people is, what would money say about you? How do you treat money? If money was your spouse, your partner, a dating person, what would they have to say about you? So what my person would have said, or money would say, is you're very disrespectful, you're abusive, you don't take care of me. That's the relationship that I'm talking about.
I see. I understand that. Ooh, what would money be saying about me? You use me a lot.
We'll have some nice conversations afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially when it comes to online stuff. So let's table that for now, because I do think we want to talk about that a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Many of us, again, most of our listeners are women, and I always say, and a few smart men.
I love that.
Because they're really, they're what we're saying applies to both men and women. I think you and I both understand that more women are kind of in a position, whether someone's put them there or they've put them there themselves, they're kind of in that situation with money where it's like, oh, somebody else will take care of it, so I don't need to know, I don't need to be worried about that.
Right.
So why is it so important for women and those other smart men to look at their relationship with money and understand where they are with money and how they can change that relationship, because that relationship can be very negative.
Oh, absolutely. It can be destructive, right? I think it's important to have conversation around money that helps improve your relationship with money. It's important because we use money on a daily basis. And I think a lot of us have a false sense of security with money, that if they have money, that makes them better than someone else. It's really not true, right? You have to know where you stand.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the things that I like to work with people on are your values, because there's a saying that if you don't know what you stand for, you will fall for anything. And I think so many of us are mindless with our money that we just spend it. And I paint with a broad brush. Not everybody out there, right, behaves this way. But for those people who have a troubled relationship with money, if you have a great relationship with money, you know what comes in, you know what goes out, you're comfortable with your savings, your investments, you feel empowered. For the people who are not empowered, they put their head in the sand and they know that they're making great money. They know that they have enough money to cover the bills, but they don't really know if they can retire. And when you hit 50, there's a magic number for women I've seen with my clients. When they hit 50, if they've had a less than stellar relationship or an avoidant relationship with money, all of a sudden it becomes really important to know, can I retire? Can I retire now or later? Where am I in the game? What can I do to get better with my money? It's never too late to get better with your money. Yeah.
Right. And even if the money that's coming in is still the same, you can make different decisions.
Much better decisions. So I had mentioned Karen and Money Grid, and that's one of the tools that I use. I don't have my clients on budgets. I put them on spending plans because I believe in using intentionality, and budget to me is like diet. It's restrictive. But so I was working with a client yesterday, and at the beginning of the month, we looked at what she wants to spend this month, right? And then when we push a little button, does this plan work? And we find out she's $5,000 over, then we go back and we pare it down. And that's having a great relationship with money. You At the beginning of June, I want to go to Paris, and that's a $5,000 expenditure. Oh, I don't have enough money coming in. I've got to take the Paris trip off the thing. It's not deprivation. I'm not saying you can never have that trip or a dinner out or whatever it is that you really don't have the money for right now, but it's a matter of planning it out, using intentionality, feeling good. And I thought, as I was working with her yesterday, I'm thinking, this is not going to go well when we find out how much she's over. And it was so interesting watching her because she took it all in stride. She went back, she pared down the spending plan. And by the end of the conversation, she was only off by about $400. She was like, Pam, this is really empowering for me. And that's a great relationship with money.
That is a great relationship with money. So with a spending plan, and I have to admit, I'm not great about this. Like, I know for the most part what I spend on groceries. When we're home, if I'm home for a week, I know it's $200 a week, no matter what. It just happens, like, especially nowadays, like that's how much food costs. And I guess I'm going to get into this earlier than I thought. My challenge, and I think this is what a lot of people have a difficulty with when it comes to not having a spending plan, is it's really easy to spend money when you're online all the time. How do you reel that in? Or how do you, is it work with your plan and stick with your plan? Let's talk me through this.
Sure. Well, I think for those people who, like me, 7 years ago, I needed a plan, and I needed a plan big time. So I think if you're new to having a good relationship with money, I think you need a plan. You need to stick with it. You need to track your money. I know those are things that people don't like to do, but if you're serious about this journey, there are some foundational steps you have to do. Now, 7 years later, do I need to do that spending plan on a daily basis? No, I have Mondays that I sit down and I look at my money and I get up close and personal with it. I think about what I'm going to be spending. But like for you, like you were saying, if you haven't been following a spending plan, maybe it's time to just look at things. And you mentioned your food is about 200. That might be going up because inflation, things are costing more
nowadays.
Right. So, and you might not even think about that. And all of a sudden you have less money than you think should be there because you're sort of on automatic pilot. Things are going well. There's more money than what you need for your expenses. It doesn't harm you to just stop every once in a while and take a look. And the one area, like you talk about online, let's talk about subscriptions. Do you need Stitch Fix? Do you need Hulu and Prime and Audible? And Spotify, you might need all of those. But when I have clients go through their, I do encourage them to go back through their debit card and every single credit card that they have for an entire year, because that's when you're going to know if you have a year subscription coming up. Okay. You pay it once a year, you forget about it. Life is great. And then all of a sudden the money comes in and they come in to get the money and it's gone. And you're like, where did that $300 go? Oh, yep. Right. I belong to that. I forgot about it.
That's a really good point. That's one of the things in my business that I have to admit I've not been very good at in the past. And it's always something. It's $99 here. And, $99 a month isn't, once a year is not a big deal. But when it's 5 of them.
Exactly.
You're like, wait a minute, where did $500 just go?
A lot of people will think it's only $100. Oh, I have $69. I have this. Well, if you do Canva and Bitly, and this is for people who are in an online business, I use Kajabi. That's a couple of $1,000.
Yep.
All of these little things you start, like I belong to the National Speakers Association. That's just a little bit every month. But if I have 10 of those, now I'm paying hundreds of dollars for things that I might not be taking full advantage of or might want to save. Or if you decide you want, like for me, going to Hawaii is on my bucket list. So maybe I cut back on a couple of expenses so that I can take that money and earmark it for Hawaii.
Absolutely. When you're ready to go Hawaii to plan that trip, let me know. We've been there several times.
Oh, sounds
Yeah.
good.
So, but we do it, and we do it. So this is kind of like this relationship with money and being smart. A lot of times people are like, oh, how many times have you been to Hawaii? That's really extravagant. It isn't the way we've done it. My mom and I bought a timeshare 30 years ago. Wow, I'm really aging myself. Yeah, it was probably like 30 years ago. And so we still have this, and it's one of those where we can exchange and go places. And so realistically, it costs us to spend 2 weeks, sometimes 3 in Hawaii. It'll cost us like $1,500 for that piece of the trip. Now, of course, there's your flight and everything else that you have to pay attention to.
Well,
but hotels, when you look at the cost of hotels, prices of hotels have doubled in the last year. It's pretty crazy. So there are definitely ways to do this in it, you know, to enjoy the things that you want to do using that spending plan and kind of being smart about it.
Right. Right. You know, like as you were saying that, I got thinking about Christmas. I'm Christian and I celebrate Christmas, and Christmas comes as a great surprise to many people every year. I'm like,
it comes so quickly this year.
Dude, it's December, you know, there's no, and we Americans do go into significant debt in December, November, December, making way for that holiday. And then we get the hangover in February when the bills really start rolling in. That's where a holiday spending plan is great. You know, you use your intention, or like this past year, our daughter said, I don't want gifts. I want experiences. So we came up with an idea. We did something ourselves, a do-it-yourself project. And what we are giving her is one excursion every month. So King Arthur Flower, we went and had a cooking class. We had a picnic at a local gorge. I'm going to take her to Storyland with her daughter. So experiences, and we get to spend time together. That was all she wanted, was time together.
I love that idea, because truly, you know, so Mark's birthday is the end of the month, and it's a big birthday. It's one that ends in a 5. And people don't know what to get Mark for his birthday. Like, he doesn't need anything.
No.
Send a card, give him a call, like those things. And same thing for us at Christmas time. I don't need anything.
Right.
Right. So, and my mom is so cute. She's always like, I didn't know what to buy you. And I'm like, you know what? We're here. Let's just spend the time together. Yeah. It's fun. It is fun to open a present. I have to say, I do like that part. I do. But I think we get to a point where it's like, what do you really need another sweater?
Right. No, it's the time together and the experiences for a lot of us, which reminds me, have you ever read Gary Chapman's Love Languages?
I have, yes.
So take the love languages and then apply money to it. You made a good point about how you like to open gifts.
Yeah.
So in my family, I love giving gifts, and I have a new person in our family who really he's very uncomfortable with that. And I didn't realize it at first. So it's been a real challenge for me. He likes acts of service. And it was just really great reading that book, The 5 Love Languages, and then being able to meet their needs, because they all don't need the amount of gifts I was showering them with.
No, it's very true. And Mark is that person. Like I said, he doesn't need anything. If he wants something, he gets it. And he can be, he's very uncomfortable on Christmas when he's like, oh, I have all these gifts to open. And I don't know if he feels guilty, or if how he actually feels, but he just basically said, I just don't need it.
Yeah. It's a great conversation to have, right?
It's so true. And I'm like you. I love to give. I love giving. My niece and my nephew, they adore me because I'm always giving them something. But it's not how I show them I love them, but it's a way that, I'm thinking of them. So you mentioned Christmas. I started Christmas shopping 2 weeks ago.
Oh, good for you.
I saw this gorgeous watch, a $497 watch that was, one of these deals and steals on the Today Show.
Oh, yeah.
$97. I'm like, I'm never going to buy somebody a $500 watch, but I might buy them a $97 watch. And that's their main Christmas gift.
Perfect.
Then
That's
there's
perfect.
the little things.
Yeah.
And so even the fact that I love to shower people with gifts, I've pared that down.
Mhm.
One, because I have to mail stuff. That's another thing. When you buy somebody a gift, if you order it, are you paying shipping? And then are you paying shipping again? Because that's what happens here. What I was noticing was happening here. I would order something if it wasn't through Amazon, and I would pay for shipping. And then at the holidays or a birthday, I'd have to ship it. I'd wrap it and then ship it. And I'm like, wait, I'm paying double for shipping.
You
So
are.
these are little things that, like, these would be my little tidbits. And I guess I would ask you, how does one plan for those things, like those extra added things?
Sometimes, life happens. Life does happen. The other day, I was driving with my granddaughter and I ended up with a flat tire. I now have 4 brand new tires that I really was not planning on spending money on. But sometimes life happens, and we create a category for life happens. If that makes you comfortable, not everybody likes that. They don't like breaking out their money. They just like it in one savings and that's it. But I like to have a savings account just for life happening. Or you want to splurge. Like, I do like splurging. You have to know yourself. That's the thing. Like, part of a tip that I have for people that they really don't like is to put their butt in a chair and think about your emotions around money. Right? Like, we just need to think, what are our values? What do we stand for? Where did our money messaging come from? Is it true? Are those messages true? Like, for me, should a woman be taken care of by a man? No, a man is not a financial plan. So just put your butt in the seat and do some of the difficult work around money. And
I think I would like to do that, because it's interesting. When I went to college, that was the first time that I realized that my parents didn't have a lot of money.
Wow.
I didn't know that. I mean, I remember when I was really little, kind of knowing now that my parents kind of, when I was little, lived paycheck to paycheck, but we never went without anything.
That's awesome.
I look at my childhood, really into my teenage years. We didn't have a brand new car. I wasn't wearing Jordache jeans. My mom and I used to have a lot of fun going shopping at Marshall's.
Mm-hmm. But your needs were met. Your needs were not monetary. You were loved. They paid attention to you. So you didn't even know any different.
No, not at all.
It didn't rule your life. And kudos to you. Kudos to you. That's not the case with a lot of people.
Yeah. I think, I look back and I really think my parents did a great job with the little that they had. Now, my mom, my mom is the one who had retirement. She worked in the school system.
Awesome.
And so, I think, I remember wondering, like, why is she working 2 jobs? She worked day school and night school for a lot of years. And it wasn't until I was in college, maybe out of college, that I really understood why she was doing it and how that was going to affect her retirement years, putting the money away while she could.
And what she did was excellent. She put a little bit away. It's that habit of putting money away. And I don't know if you know Chris Hogan, Dave Ramsey, but they've done some studies out there on millionaires. And there are 3 industries. And I love to hear about teachers, because teaching, even though they are paid poorly in a lot of people's minds, teaching is one of the industries that has created millionaires in that survey that was done by them. And why? Because teachers automatically put money into retirement every single pay period.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's that habit. We hear stories in our world, we hear stories about the local janitor who died leaving $8 million, and people didn't know that they even had money, because you would never know it. And that's I have this presentation that I do in schools. Does this tattoo make me look rich? And I go in and dispel millionaire myths, because in America, we think that the big mansion, the Mercedes, the diamonds, all this, that equals wealth. No, that means just your purchasing power is really good.
Mhm. It's true. I think there may even be a book that's called The Millionaire Next Door.
There is Thomas Stanley.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we talk about that all the time. You know, we kind of laugh because 2 of our cars are 25 years old.
Yeah.
The other
And
one
people
is
know that.
probably, you know, there's one we have, one of them is starting to fall apart. So we actually have an extra car right now, because we did get to a point where we decided, okay, we need a new car. But we planned for an entire year. And interestingly, paying attention to the market, which most women do not do, so we'll talk about that in a second, paying attention to the market, we realized last year in May, we were going to wait until this year. So it would have been a month ago that we would have bought a car. We bought it a year ago.
Smart.
We bought a floor model. We started off with $10,000 less just because it was a floor model. It was a last year's model. So 2 things. Car was brand new to me.
Yeah.
It had 5,000 miles on it.
And you
know,
get a great deal.
But that was one of those things, you know, paying attention to the market. We probably saved ourselves $20,000 at least. So let's talk about the market.
The stock market?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do we know? What do we need to know? Because that's part of money. And I don't think we need to totally understand how it works, because I know I don't.
Right.
But what are your thoughts for those of us who are going, ooh, the stock market? Yeah, I know it goes up and down. Yeah,
it does. It does. Well, I know that the stock market is one of the avenues to use for long-term wealth. You know, I believe it's an important place to be present in. We have seen week after week after week I have this little arrow on my taskbar down here that keeps going down, and once in a while it will go up. I mean, the last couple of weeks or months have been horrible. Like, I don't open my statements now. So that would be one of the things I would say is you haven't lost any money unless you're going to sell, right?
Good point.
So what I recommend for women, because a lot of us are anxious about it, we don't know about it. What we have found is that when you have a room filled with women and a man comes in and there's a discussion of money, the energy shifts, it changes. When men are present, we shut down. We acquiesce to them. They know more than we do. That we become questioning about what we think we know, and in our guts we know what we know, but all of a sudden. So that's why I work predominantly with women, and women bring men into the conversation too, for sure. And but I think what women need to do is, I think you do need to be informed about the stock market. How do you do that? I think a little bit of reading every day, maybe listening to some podcasts. I highly recommend, for those who are interested in growing their wealth, Barbara Stanny Hewson has a Facebook group called The Wealth Connection. And we met just the other day. I'm a part of that. And we talk about money. We talk about different avenues. And we have over 100 women, not necessarily on every call, but one is a real estate expert, another one is a commodities expert. And so we're just having discussions and we're learning. We learn through discussion. And I think that's really important for us.
I agree. And I think for women too, you know, we like the interaction. And so that, for me, that's a great way for me to learn. Sure, I can learn by reading a book, but I learn more by the conversation.
Yep. Because we are relational, right? We like those relationships. And so I've been a member with Barbara Stan. I've been following her for decades. And so from this group, you know, a couple of us we still get together online, of course, you know, some of us have actually gotten together in person, but so it's just neat because you build relationships and you know that you can go to that person to talk about money. If you have, like I have one friend who will challenge me. I like stash invest. I like to play with it. And she's like, Pam, do you know how much that costs? And I'm like, no, I haven't looked. I don't care because it makes me feel good. Yes. Are there other ways that I could save money? Probably. But this makes me feel good. I like to feel like I'm in the game and I'm playing around. And so that's the kind of friendship.
There's that fun piece you were talking about.
Right? Yeah.
Well, so, and that's a very positive emotion and positive feeling. And I think that's so important because so many of us have this very negative, this negative feeling when it comes to money and planning, and it can really cause a lot of stress.
Oh,
Whether there's money coming in, there's enough money, too much going out, whatever the situation may be. Let's talk about that, the cost of that, the stress that finance can create for people.
oh my gosh, the stress that a troubled relationship with finance can cause. It's psychological, mental, spiritual, social. Some of us start to isolate from our friends. We don't want to share our shame with people. The cost to corporations, I was just looking through some statistics, and there are studies out there that say it's $500 billion that is costing businesses a year, or to put that in a little bit more understandable terms, just under $2,000 an employee. That's what it's costing corporations, because people come to work and what they're doing is they're spending 3 and 4 hours of their week ruminating about money, researching how can I do things better. This financial stress and toll it's just crazy. From a health perspective, we know that the stress can cause sleep disorders. It can, contribute to heart arrhythmia. Oh my gosh, I'm coming up with a blank, but there are a number of different things that
I can even add to that. In my experience, overeating, binge eating, all of those things, people all of a sudden being, they're overweight.
Yeah, the unhealthy coping mechanisms. So we have our financial stress. It's a vicious cycle. We have our financial stress. So then we go to cope with it. And for me, it was sugar. I love my sugar. It's overeating. It could be alcohol, could be smoking, drugs, whatever I call it addiction of choices. For me, it was also spending. I would be stressed out about money and I would go into a bookstore to feel better about it. Well, and then the alcohol, the food, it costs money. So you just continue the cycle. So it does take its toll.
And this is something, whether or not you're making enough money. I mean, there's always that where you're not making enough money in a career or a job. But I think a lot of times we're talking about people who, especially when we by the time we hit our 50s, we've kind of figured at least something out, that we've have enough coming in, we have a decent salary. So this is really about, it really is more that, as we're talking about this, it really is more about the spending, the challenge that we're having with spending, or no, not the challenge we're having with spending, the ease we have with spending, because we don't have that plan, that spending plan.
Right. Because you're mindless. You're not being mindful with your money. Being mindful with your money creates a different outcome.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And it's interesting. So, as the CEO and curator here at Living Healthy List, one of the things that I do is whenever I see something new, in the health and wellness perspective world, I always kind of look, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I should try that. And I've done that mostly with diets, but there are always these new programs and plans. And there was something that popped into Instagram today. And I have to say, I'm not a scroller. And this morning I had a little extra time and I actually was, oh my God, I can understand why people just buy stuff from just scrolling. And this program looked really cool. And I was like, okay, so this is for weight loss and health and vitality. And so I went through all the questions, and I got to the end, and it was like, buy now, big yellow, flashing lights. And it was 269, not dollars, English pounds.
Oh, which is even more dollars, right?
Bingo. And
Yeah.
so that was like, I mean, I wasn't going to buy this thing, but I could have very easily, $269. That's not that much money. I'm trying, whatever the excuse I could have given myself to buy it. But that was the eye opener. I was like, oh, that's not even in dollars. That's in pounds.
Mm-hmm. And then if you had clicked, I'll take bets, you click the link to buy that, then you would be able for $37 be able to buy the next thing to add on. You click that, and then it will be a $19 thing. And I mean, I feel guilty saying it because I am an online entrepreneur as well, but you have to, it's like clickbait, right? You have to be careful of what you're spending. And that's when, like I make an intentional list for the month, and the tires were not on it, but I do enjoy my courses. And if other people enjoy the courses or programs, there's no reason, unless you can't afford them, to take them out of your spending plan. So you can potentially purchase that if that was on your list,
Right.
But
again,
aware.
That's the point. It's being aware of it, and not that, instant, oh, it's right here in front of me, I'll buy it now.
Instant gratification gets us in so much trouble. And the other thing, and I had to become aware of this myself, is my FOMO, fear of missing out. Oh my goodness, that can just, because they'll be like, it only lasts for 5 more minutes, get it now. And I'm like, oh, I have to do it now.
And it's a sales tactic that works, because it messes with us emotionally.
Yeah, it's part of our brain that lights up. We've got to have it.
And when I started Living Healthy List, one of the things that I said from day one is, I'm never going to have a $10,000 program, because a lot of coaching they want to do that. And Living Healthy List is more, it's about living a healthy lifestyle. It's not just about coaching. I mean, we have coaches obviously we have coaches in different areas, but so many of these programs that you can purchase, whether it's, live on Zoom, or, just a static type of program, $10,000, and they have these incredible sales tactics to make you say, oh, I can afford $10,000. It's just $1,997 a month.
A month, right?
Ooh. And that was one of the first things I said. I will never do that, because that's not how I want to run my online business. Mm-hmm. Everything on Living Healthy List on the website and the magazine is free, and it always will be. And I think that is so important for me, because that's a big chunk of what I do for my business is free.
But other things, using your integrity.
Absolutely.
Right? You're serving with integrity, and kudos to you. That's amazing. Thank you.
And so maybe we need to buy with integrity.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Make our money a little bit more sacred, more important. I said, and part of working with, Karen was just my first money coach. I would say to them, if you could make money as important to me as my books were, like I protect my books. I have a great library, but money never had the same feeling for me until we sat our butt in a chair. We did some of the hard work, and for me, it was a painful journey to get. What we have to do is get to the root of the problem. And you had mentioned, we had talked about it in the past, about being enough and having enough. And there are some of my clients who are making great money, but they worry that it's not enough. I think we have a little problem in our society where we don't think we're enough, and that sometimes equates into we can never have enough. Yeah. For her, she could never have enough spending. For me, when I was unhealthy, I could never have enough stuff. And Karen McCall would always say to me, Pam, you can never get enough of what you do not need.
Mm.
You only have 2 feet. You don't need 50 pairs of shoes.
Ooh.
I know, I know. That hit close to home, right?
Oh, big time. Oh, okay. It's funny that we're talking about specifically. I recently had a conversation with someone whose business is organizing, and I have 3 closets full of clothes. Now, winter clothes, summery stuff, some things that, I mean, truly, I had suits in this closet behind me that I had when I was working in Philadelphia 20 years ago. I wasn't going to wear them. I'm not a size 2 anymore. They're not even going to fit. And so I actually recently started to go through, and oh my gosh, what an amazing feeling it was to kind of purge and to give that away.
Yeah, decluttering is foundational. So I have a membership program called the Abundance Academy, and each month is a different topic. So in this past January, it was all about decluttering, because I do believe in energetic things. And if your house is chock-a-block full of stuff, how can you ever have room for the things you truly want to come in if they're jam-packed, right? Same with your purse. If your wallet is disorganized or your handbag is just a catch-all. And so I have people go through and declutter, make room for having those money dates, clean up your laptop, get the desktop a little bit clearer, because I don't know about you, but visual clutter just energetically confuses me. It overwhelms me. It could be because I'm getting older. I used to love my clutter, but and I call myself a bag lady because I still tote 3 or 4 bags around with me, but
I've never liked clutter. And it's funny because my husband and I have different ideas when it comes to stuff. His stuff it's mostly work stuff, and he writes a lot. That he's always writing papers or printing papers to read, and so we've got a lot of papers. We get the Sunday New York Times. There's a lot of papers to that. He gets a weekly magazine. So there's a lot of stuff kind of sometimes lying around, and it drives me bonkers.
Wow.
And what I had to realize was, it's not in my space. If it's not in my space, I had to be okay with it. If it's up in his office, I don't go up there. Actually, it's a shame because it's a beautiful room. I just never go up there because it's just got his stuff. And actually once, about 5 years ago, he had a box full of papers and stuff that had been there for probably even for 5 years. So this box was it was a box of old stuff. I threw it out.
Oh my goodness.
He never noticed.
I was going to say, did he know? Until he sees this.
No, it's really funny. Around the same time, we had some work done at the back of the house. So there was a dumpster out front, and we had some boxes that were in our utility room. 2 of them were from when he moved here 10 years before, 15 years before. And one of them was from when I moved in 2001. No, 2003. Do you know what we did?
What'd you do?
We
didn't
didn't
even look inside.
Nope.
Wow.
We weren't missing whatever was in there.
No.
We didn't need to replace anything, obviously.
Well, that's an issue right there, is the amount of money that people spend in replacing things because they can't find them.
Good point.
And if you declutter, if you have a place for everything and you put everything in its place, then you're going to know where it is. But that is discipline, and that it's work, you know?
But I think kind of coming back around to the idea of having a spending plan, like your plan. If you have a plan and all of these things are part of that plan, right. The energy that you get from decluttering, from knowing where things are, from not spending on things that you've already got in the house somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
I love this conversation. It's just it's fun. I mean, you're right. Talking about money can be fun when we're doing it in a positive way. And I think that's kind of the key here, is focusing on figure out what your spending plan is, what you've got coming in, what you've got coming in, going out. And then taking steps from there. So for our listeners, what would be the number one thing that you would have people start, and then give us 2 tips to do that?
Okay, so I want people to get their credit score. Do they know what their FICO score is? Because the FICO score, now, if you're living off grid with credit, like you don't have any credit, then the FICO score is irrelevant to you. But if you're wanting to get a car, have a mortgage, your FICO score is going to be really important. So what's your FICO score? We want it to be about 740. Anything over 740 will give you the best rates on your loans. By the way, your FICO score is also tied to the amount you pay in your insurance. So a low FICO score has you paying higher insurance rates. And I want you to pull your credit report, and I want you to look and make sure that everything on it is legit. There was, many years ago, a woman in Texas with the same name as me who did not have a stellar relationship with money, and neither did my credit report because of that. And so you have to work to get things off your credit report that don't belong there. You also need to find out if your identity has been stolen. That's one of the ways to monitor that. And you can go to annualcreditreport.com and you can get a different report every 4 months. Now, I don't know if we're still under the COVID umbrella. When that was happening, we could get 1 report a month. So just check and make sure if it's still there for 1 a month. I just recommend pulling the credit report to find out how you're doing. It takes 7 years for bad things to go off. If you've gone through bankruptcy, it could be longer.
But if there's stuff that's on there that's not yours.
Right. Those are 2 of the foundational things, and then you build on from there. Your spending plan. I like working with people's net worth, which can be extremely frightening very early on, especially if you have student debt. You could be in the negative numbers, but what we track tends to get better. You would track what you follow, or I don't know what I'm trying to say with that, but anyway.
Yeah, what you kind of like what you focus on grows.
Thank you. Yeah. So I do like tracking people's net worth. We should see it, if you have debt, we should see that coming down. If you get raises, we should see your income going up, and your net worth should reflect that each and every month. And I do say every month. Now, some people don't, maybe once a year. Kudos, at least you're doing it. Right. But yeah, there's those really basic financial foundations that it would be great if you all could do.
Awesome. Yeah. Pam, would you tell our audience, please, how they can find you and connect?
Sure. My website is moneymasterywithpam.com. The email is pam@moneymasterywithpam. And just email me, reach out, schedule a session. I do an hour complimentary consult just to talk over, because I don't mesh with everybody. I am not everybody's style, and there are some people that I can't work with either. So we always have a 1 hour complimentary consult to see if there's any possibility there. But Denise, I can't thank you enough. I've enjoyed my time here talking about money.
Me too. This has been great. Like you said in the beginning, it can be fun, and it has been fun. And I thank you so much, Pam, for giving us some great ideas, some awesome tips. And I look forward to another talk. I'm sure this will be the first of many.
I hope so. All right.
So thank you. Thank you, everyone. You have been listening to the Wonder Series. We're here every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Living Healthy List is our sponsor here at the Wonder Series. So if you get a chance, go check out livinghealthylist.com. We'll see you next week. So until then, I leave you with this. Start wondering and start living. Thanks, everyone.